Right now, Kamala Harris's weeks-old presidential campaign got a massive jolt of energy from an electric rally Friday here in the Valley. Can the Democratic presidential nominee and her running mate, Tim Walz, ride the vibes to victory in Arizona and on to the White House? Here are some of the sounds from the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump campaign rallies on Friday.
On Wednesday, the largest crowd of the campaign showed up in Detroit, Michigan. But Arizona just couldn't leave it alone, could you?
Wow. So Arizona, I ask, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win.
How did he do? Do you think he's happy with it? I don't think so. He's not too happy. You know, they took it away from him. They really did. They took it away. The guy had 14 million votes. She had none. But I'd rather run against her. I think she's easier to beat. I really do. I believe it.
We are 3 months away from Election Day, and tonight the race for the White House is red. Here's a live look from the Kamala Harris rally in Las Vegas. It's the final stop of her 5-day barnstorming tour through the swing states. She needs to win in the fall. There's Tim Walz, her running mate, on stage to a packed house. Here in Arizona, the estimated 15,000 people at Harris's raucous Glendale rally took part in what's believed to be Arizona's largest rally for a Democratic candidate. Rallies 3 months before an election don't win campaigns, but how dramatically has the presidential race been reshaped here in Arizona since President Joe Biden ended his campaign just 3 weeks ago? Joining us are Daniel Scarpinato, Republican strategist, former chief of staff for Governor Doug Ducey, and Reginald Boulding, former Democratic leader in the State House of Representatives. Welcome back to Square Off. You've both been involved in politics for quite a while. Reginald, I'll start with you. Your take on that rally here in Glendale. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
What a rally. 15,000 people. I mean, again, one of the largest rallies we've seen here in Arizona, whether it's Republican or Democrat, in nearly 2 decades. I mean, what you're seeing is the enthusiasm for the vice president, Kamala Harris. People know that her vision of freedom, opportunity, of hope, that's what people are asking for right now. They're not trying to hear, how do you take America back decades ago. They are looking for a vision, and Kamala Harris' message with the Governor Walz, they're delivering.
And Dan, what does that rally tell you about where Democrats and their candidates are today versus where they were just 3 weeks and a day ago before Joe Biden stepped aside?
Well, jolt of energy is the right phrase. Dramatic is the right way to sum up this election so far. There's no denying that there's a new momentum, and that Vice President Harris is a far superior campaigner than Joe Biden. What I'm skeptical of is if that event won or lost votes among the people who will decide the election in Arizona. I don't think this is a turnout election. It's the Super Bowl of elections. Everyone's voting. The question is, those voters who have decided elections in Arizona and, frankly, elected Democrats in several of them, is that message, which to me was just kind of a hodgepodge of Democratic liberal positions, going to win the race? And that, I think, is a question mark.
Okay, we'll talk about it a little later. Before we get to the polling numbers, though, there was one person conspicuously absent from the speaker list and from the tarmac on Thursday and the event on Friday. That was Governor Katie Hobbs, Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs, who wasn't there for the Democratic nominee for president. She said she had to be, her spokesman said she had to be in northern Arizona on Thursday and had an event she couldn't move, something she couldn't move on Friday. Is that good enough? What do you think was going on there?
I have no clue. I mean, it is somewhat bizarre, and I would think she would want to be there. So I can't explain it. I did think, I thought Kate Gallego was kind of a standout in those intros. I was very impressed by her energy and how much she's kind of grown as a candidate.
Reg, wouldn't you expect to see the governor there?
Look, as Daniel knows, governors, they have a great job, and they have a job where they have to be across the entire state. There were some awesome people there in her state. You talk about, the Democratic mayor and, Kay Gallego. You had Corey Woods. You had a Republican mayor and John Giles, who said what I think everyone in Arizona is thinking: we need adults in the room who are actually going to be president and vice president. So while she wasn't there, there were some awesome folks who were there to really, stand up and say, look, we're supporting the Kamala Harris Walz ticket.
Let's look at the numbers. The influential Cook Political Report now rates Arizona a toss-up in the presidential race. It was not a toss-up when Joe Biden was still in it. And a poll last week by High Ground Public Affairs shows Harris leading Trump by almost 3 points within the margin of error. The polling story seems to be similar in other swing states. Dan, do you buy those polling numbers? Is this a dead heat now?
Well, I'm actually going to quote Congressman Greg Stanton from that rally, who said, "Don't believe the polls." And I never believed the polls that had President Trump up 6-8 points. You can't win in Arizona by that much in a competitive race anymore. This will be a barn burner. It's going to be another 10, 20, 30,000 vote race. That's just what we see here now. And so I think it's going to be incredibly close. She's got momentum now, but this race still has a long way to go.
3 months.
Yeah, I would agree. This is going to be an extremely close race, and it will be within the margin. So I think that you're going to have to see individuals not only turn out. I think to Daniel's point earlier, people, they're excited, they're ready to come to the polls. But I do think that you really have to look at these moderate Republican voters. You're seeing events that, moderate Republicans for Harris, Republicans for Gallego. There's a group that's emerging, especially out in the East Valley, that is saying, look, we're supporting Democrats because they actually have common sense, and we're not trying to go back to where Donald Trump took us several years ago.
The New York Times reported this weekend that Donald Trump is kind of disoriented by this shift from Biden to Harris. I think we saw some of that in the soundbite. He thought he was facing Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is proving to be a far more competent and stronger candidate than many thought. We've heard him engage in race baiting, Kamala Harris. I'll ask this question to you. Can I have a sensitive question? Will Donald Trump continue to have a hard time dealing with a black candidate, let alone a talented one?
Well, the problem with Donald Trump is that when he doesn't have a vision to offer, he starts to go and he starts to personalize attacks. We've seen it when he was talking about the former senator, the great John McCain. We saw it when he was talking about Barack Obama. We saw it when, no matter the race of the individual who he's talking about, if he doesn't have a substantive message, he starts to go personal. And I don't think that's that's not what Arizona wants. And I think that he's going to have a hard time translating that message to votes.
Can Trump avoid going there?
Well, it needs to be about the issues. And if it is about the issues, then Republicans can win. I will tell you, it's fairly incredible to me, Bram. It's like this is an Etch-a-Sketch campaign. And it's like Kamala Harris's entire record just doesn't matter. And she's kind of rewriting history in terms of her position on the border, the economy. So I think if Republicans can get the race back to talking about the issues, then the issues are on their side.
To that point, we absolutely should talk about the record. And from that point when Kamala Harris was Attorney General, she went after drug smugglers, human traffickers. She has a history. Donald Trump, he talked about Mexico building a wall that Mexico was supposed to pay for that they never did. So, there's a track record, especially on the border. Kamala Harris backed one of the strongest border protection bills that this country has seen in decades. Donald Trump, on the other hand, urged Republicans not to support it. So we can talk about the issues, and I certainly think they should.
And I bet that's what's going to happen. Once this honeymoon period ends, you got a convention in about 10 days, debate September 10th. That could be the real kickoff.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. And the moderate Republicans are going to be the deciders. And I think that's really the folks that this campaign in Arizona will be won or lost on.
That's battleground Arizona right there. All right. Reg Bolding, Dan Scarpinato, thanks so much for joining us.
Yep.